Hey there, Pete Erickson here with Modev, and this is part of our Inside Voice in AI series where we have a chance to meet the people that are really shaping the industry at the intersection of conversational generative AI, large language models, and everything in between. I'm excited to speak with our next guest because she has been at the forefront of AI and conversational AI for many years, really pioneering the healthcare industry and the patient journey when it comes to AI. Many folks have been at this for a long time, and our next guest is no exception to that. I'm excited to bring up Paulina Lewandowska. Paulina, hello, how are you?
Hi, Pete. I'm doing well. And yourself?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great because it's Friday, and I'm on the East Coast of the United States, but you're coming to us all the way from Switzerland. Tell us a little bit more about where you're hanging out.
Well, it's Friday evening in Switzerland. Beautiful, almost summer. It's really great, and I can't wait for my weekend, but I also can't wait to this interview with you.
Well, thank you. We really appreciate it. And yeah, thanks for making time for us on a Friday evening. And I'm glad to hear that the sun is shining now and the days are getting longer. You certainly earned it. So you work with Roche, which is one of the leading healthcare companies in the world. But you've been there and really been at this for a long time. Tell us a little bit more about your background and how you became really one of the top conversation designers at this intersection of AI and healthcare.
Oh God, the journey was really long. I am really more like a technical person, mainly focusing on my previous role on data analysis and all this stuff. But I also really did a lot of the business analyst role and so on and so forth. I always was kind of trying to connect the business world to the technology world. I graduated a while ago already, and to
Yeah.
me, it was obvious that technology will be in the front of what we are doing. So that was like kind of my passion through all my career. And a few years ago, I had a privilege to join a small team within my great company when we started some experiments. So we were really dedicated team to really somehow bring the experiment culture to our organization. But of course, if you think about experiments, it's really about new technology. It's really about some things which are already cutting edge technology things or whatever you can think which can really somehow change the healthcare, the patient journey, you name it, from that perspective. So we started, and there started lots of interest with digital humans. So actually, we started to explore this area. To me, it was totally new world. I was really learning this as well. But at that time, it already appeared, digital humans are nice, but what is nicer, this is what is really behind. So this what is the fuel to this nice avatar which we can see in the front. So I really become very interested in the conversational AI. I was a privilege to join the last cohort of VOICEAnd Global to learn about the conversational design, to really meet great people, to be really inspired, and to have opportunity to learn a lot. And with that, I really was able to do nice experiments where we have patient in the front. And one of our experiments really still living. Of course, we still explore it, but I can already share lots of interesting insights during our conference.
Yeah, well, we're definitely looking forward to that. And I think it says a lot about the organization you're with, Roche, that they started experimenting years ago in this area of how conversation design and digital humans can actually improve patient outcomes. And suddenly here we are in this, kind of moment for AI where, the large language models seem to just be coming so fast. And, the access now is so broad where I can go now create an avatar of myself and, have it start speaking just, like that. But what would you say is the big the big difference between being able to turn something on like that and actually building something that has real purpose and real meaning. I think that there's maybe a big delta there between what's possible and then what's really what's necessary from a use case standpoint, especially when it comes to healthcare.
Yeah, I think, you touch a great point because, it's not that easy, actually.
Right.
You really need to fulfill lots of legal compliance, but just requirements if you think about what type of risk and harm you can do if it's not designed properly, if you don't have
Mm-hmm.
control, if you don't provide necessarily information and the information which really is not harmful anyhow. So it's a lot. I think this is one side of it. The other side is actually also connected to, will people use it? Is it something will really convince you to have a conversation with bot? I remember when we started, even in our organization, everyone said, "Yeah, but the bot sometimes doesn't work. How we can make patients convinced to use it? How it's going to be useful?" This is the another side, and we have third side, which is the ecosystem. So very often we think when we design conversational interface that it might make some people obsolete. So in this case, the question could be, is it really to replace the doctors, which is actually not a point, because when we started to do our experiments, we really thought this is a tool which can be helpful for everyone, which can be like a helping hand to the doctor, but really make some bridge between a doctor and a patient, because patient will really receive a proper information at the time when it is needed. And also in a way that it can be more engaging than just go to the Google and search the specific website, or to go to the leaflet actually somehow.
Right.
Now we can think patient may go to the chat GPT, but this is not even the point in that discussion yet.
Right.
But you can already hear there are a lot of pain points you need to somehow address when you speak about it.
Yeah, and healthcare is, you mentioned regulatory. It's a highly regulated industry. Um, and there are lots of examples of large language models pushing out information that isn't necessarily true, or in other cases when people are deploying chatbots in a hurry to help people solve problems, and the chatbot isn't actually helping them solve that problem. They may even be doing harm. And when it comes to healthcare, we absolutely can't have that happen. Where do you think the intersection is, though, of just how fast industry is moving right now? With it seems like I can't keep up with the number of announcements that go on every day or every week in this space. Right? It's like at some point we have to just get back to work. I leverage these tools now quite a bit, right? But where do you think is yeah? How do you see this this movement of such a rapid shift in the way that technology is evolving relative to AI, given that you've been in this for so long? Where do you see that rubbing up or pushing
Mhm.
up against, let's say, the healthcare industry?
There are, even in our company, of course there is lots of interest, and we are trying to think what would be the best use case and where we can really have it. And there are obvious things which we call some productivity boosters and so on, but to me it's not connected too much to that week. Although I must admit that, of course, with the tools we have, this is extremely helpful. So for our Emerson, so our assistant to patient, we really, when we were designing personas, we were really trying also to get inspiration, because when you use large language model, you can have lots of inspiration, and the creativity is just boosted with that. So I must admit, it really helped us with this. If you think about the hype, though, I think we should really carefully observe it and see what we have from that. I'm already kind of even thinking the impact, and I make a connection to the blockchain, maybe a bit weird one, but to me quite relevant. So when the blockchain was in its hype, there was a GDPR law done in Europe. So it was kind of totally not considered this type of technology, actually. And now, when we have the ChatGPT, which started this discussion, the European Union, which started the work on the AI law and AI Act, actually they stopped the work because they didn't really even consider this type of technology coming. So to me, it's already somehow an example of the impact which has been made. So now the legislation work is done differently, and it already is visible that this technology impact that. And obviously, if we think about this legislation stuff, this is very much also connected to the healthcare, because we will be impacted very much in a way how we can use those type of models, what can we implement, and what will be the consequence of it.
Right. Yeah, I think. Well, I think that's very well said. I think that discovering how the tools can make us more productive is one thing, but then with regards to product and productizing, it's a whole kind of another. It's a whole nother set of challenges. You're going to be speaking at Voice in AI. We're so thrilled to have you at the conference, Paulina. You're going to be speaking September 6th, and you're going to be speaking about innovating healthcare with conversational AI, and really, thinking about the future of empowering the patient journey, right, and disease management. Tell us a little bit more about that talk and what people are going to learn when they come and listen to your years and years of wisdom.
Yeah, we will also see, because every month we learn something new. So
That's
of
great.
course, you will have fresh stuff.
Fresh
But
content,
to me,
right? I guess it's
yes,
June, so come September, right?
totally. But I mean, to me, that was also very insightful when I entered this path, because when I started, of course, learning more, we have lots of examples, great automation, customer service. And whenever I start to talk with people and I start to explain this use case, I have like, but the question, what type of automation do you do? And I mean, well, we can treat it like some automation to some extent, but this is actually not for that. We are really entering a space which was not addressed so much so far, because it's not about having the ordering the refill for your prescription or have like FAQ, but it's really building an assistant which can be a really helpful to patients and to doctors somehow. Patients, when we started the experiment, really stated that the source of truth is important. So reliable content, reliable information. And it still comes from not a Google, which is still like a metaphor, very, very, very often used by patients. I go to Dr. Google, but really, they really want to be sure that what they have in their hands is really reliable and they can trust it. But also, they really want to have it when they need it, and really of the content they need. So if we can only provide patients this type of information and this content, this is great. And now the tricky part is that you don't know what is needed, because the needs are so big and you don't have the call center logs to go there and to review them. You have just the interaction with doctors. You can ask the ecosystem. Actually, the ecosystem needs to co-create the content, needs to co-create and understand what are the questions. And very often it's not like, maybe even from your own experience, that you go to doctor and you ask everything. No, because you don't have time. You sometimes might think those questions are not relevant actually to your situation or your disease. So it's really exploratory thing to learn what is needed there. And I hope once we actually start it, because so we have like our phase, and I also explain more in the conference. But once we really be able to learn even more, we also discover totally new things which were never even brought by patients to the doctors. So this is like a great space. And this, to me, means empowering. So really, patients who really have more conscious decision can understand. And it's not about the treatment, just be fair. It's about the quality of life and managing the disease.
Oh, I think that's really powerful. And I have to tell you, I'm sitting here thinking about if I'm in any other industry, this is the kind of content I need with regards to building, a digital human or a customer service interface. If you take some of the hardest use cases, which I think medical and healthcare are some of the toughest use cases, just because of what you said, the need for trust. The information has to be accurate. It can't, you're not talking about trying to sell a pair of shoes. You're talking about trying to help somebody manage their healthcare, and they may be in real need for really good information all the time, or maybe access to their specific medical information. I think that so I just think about all of the other industries that we have coming to this conference, whether it's retail or banking, or you fill in the blanks, entertainment, media. People are going to be interacting with virtual humans now, or digital avatars, and they all need trusted information. I think trust is the number one thing a brand has, right? And as we've seen with a lot of the hall of shame now with AI already, companies breaking that trust because their AI didn't do what it was supposed to do, even if it was something simple or something complex. And we are so lucky, Paulina, to have you coming over to the conference, your willingness to share what you've learned, and really help people at the edge of where this industry is right now, because it's moving so fast. And my hope as a conference organizer is that we connect as human beings around a technology that's moving so fast, we really stand a better chance of moving ourselves forward in a way that is going to be helpful to whatever product we happen to be building or whatever company we're representing. I guess I would just want to kind of wrap up with this, and that is that if I'm just entering into this space, what do I need to know about conversation design? Because so many people are, right?
Yeah, and maybe from my side, when I enter this, I really feel like it's like the linguists place, actually, which of course they are the best equipped for that because this is their education. But I believe there are really so many sides of the conversation design you can really think of, from the user experience part, from the technology part, of course, from the language part, that I can imagine that everyone can find a space and spot. And there is always a team also behind, and there are also people with you can work. So if you only have an interest with that, try to explore what is your spot, what is your power, what is something you want to learn. Now also with the language model, it's even more, because you might go to the prompt engineering part. But I think everything can be somehow still covered under umbrella of conversational design, and there are various places you can find yourself. That would be my advice.
I think it's really well said that conversation design is really kind of all of it, and there are subcomponents of it. So decide where you really want to learn the most and become an expert, and go into that and do it well. Very well said. Again, Paulina, we look so forward to seeing you at the conference in September. You can find information on the conference, VOICEAnd.AI. Paulina, thank you so much again for joining us, and we will look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you so much for the invitation, and I'm really looking forward for September.
Thank you. I'm Pete Erickson. We've been chatting with Paulina Lewandowska, and she is with Roche. She's a conversation designer. She is a wealth of information. She is the kind of person you're going to meet at VOICEAnd.AI in September, and we hope you will join us there. You can find all the details on the website and get your plans ready to come to DC. There's going to be people from all over the world that are really at the edge of conversation design, large language models, and generative AI, and everything else in between. Come and join us. We'll see you then.